Good evening all. Welcome to Locksport Community Representative Group meeting. I believe there's a little bit of concern that we haven't put out enough information across the Christmas period. We've undergone change of committee, so that will be addressed and will be kept up to date more often in the new year. We'll go straight into the debriefing on the community meeting. So I'll call Colin to address it.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone. First of all, thanks to the CRG, everything that they've done, you know, and keeping all this going. The last couple of weeks, obviously, you know, we haven't heard a lot out there. I'll put a few things out there on the notice board, really just to keep people informed that it hasn't been forgotten. We are doing something. I had a conversation today with Jim Noonan from Delp, only about 15 minutes ago. Actually, he just sent me an email through now. And what Delp are proposing they're going to do is that area down near the service station, that will be mulched right back to the golf course. Right, so there will be a substantial fire break put in down there. They have a team coming into town over the next couple of days. They're going to start cleaning up. Remember, it was brought up at the meeting about the walkways and overgrown bushes and whatever that a few people brought up, so they're going to start tackling that. They're fully aware of the national park end of town, the bush that needs to be looked at down there, but as Jim said, and as I'm sure you understand too, can't get things to happen just overnight, you know what I mean? There's so many layers of controls dealing with the Aboriginal heritage side of it, things that we can't control, but by just keep cattle prodding them, keep asking the question, we'll slowly get there. So that was Delp. Obviously, as you're aware, did you bring that up? Or the letter Danny O'Brien has written off to the Minister, you know, requesting that seriously have a look at what's going on down here with the fire situation in light of all the fires that we've had in East Gippsland over the last month, you know, month and a half, maybe 2 months. I'm sure this letter's going to get a bit of traction. The other one I was dealing with was, well, it was two. It was SB Osnet. Now, SB Osnet haven't been too bad, in all fairness. You know, the guy I've been dealing with, Michael Cullen, he's had guys down here today doing the inspection on the power line corridor right into Locksport. But I've got to afford him the time to get that data back into SB Osnet, and he's going to send it through to us in an email, and I'll give it to Barry and the CRG, and the CRG will put it up on notice board. Everyone will be able to read it. Now, they'll either come back and say, yes, we agree with you, there's foliage that needs to be cleared, or they might come back and say, what we see we think's fine. You know what I mean? But until we see what the report is, we really can't say anything. We have to wait until we actually get that report. And again, as I say to you, it's been frustrating for me too. Men will tell you I've been on the phone every day hammering them to try and get something to come to this meeting. But talking to Michael Cullen, he's a good guy. He's on our side, but the same deal when they move vegetation on the edge of that road. There's so many agencies involved, you know, whether it's parks, Delp, local council, you know, the Aboriginal people, you know, that own, traditional owners of the land. To give you an idea with the Vic Road situation, if there's a tree hanging over the road, you see a tree hanging over the road, right, and say, well, why don't they just cut that tree down? They, under their road plan, they can't cut a tree down unless it has imminent threat to the road. Right, now you define imminent. Is that now, in an hour, next week? And these are the sort of things they're up against too. But just to touch on the Vic Road one a little bit further, along the Longford-Locksport Road, inspections are undertaken fortnightly as per standards set out in the road management plan. I've just advised the inspector is out there today. The community can also report hazards at any time, 13333778, which we do. There are limitations in what we can be removed from the roadside, and we undertake trimmings work as required. In terms of the grass mowing, right, RRV undertakes roadside mowing to reduce fire risk, mainly visibility at the intersections, ensure roadside signage, guideposts, maintain the operation of the road. Longford-Locksport Road was subjected to a 3 metre wide cut. Remember that before Christmas the guys went over and knocked a bit of grass off the top. Well, there's another cut down for April, but Vic Roads haven't come back with the findings of what those inspectors said, i.e. that we brought up at the meeting about moving that verge further back from the road, so in case if there was a fire, you could still drive out of the town. So all I can say is from my part, you know what I mean, and I'll give this to Barry and that to follow up, we're definitely following it up, we're not forgetting about it, and we're not going away, you know, we're going to get something happen out of this. The next one in the line of fire will be Wellington Shire, and if it means that we've got to get 200 or 300 people to put a CARS report in, because CARS reports get things done. All those blocks, I was down in Pelican Street the other week and I looked at some of those blocks and I thought to myself, if any of this caught on fire, these houses would be gone. The tea tree's 35 foot high in some of those blocks down there, so the Shire's got to step up and do a little bit as well. But from my point of view, from the bits that I've done, they are engaging us, you know, and the conversation is not, they're not being aggressive, they're not pushing back, you know, but we've got to let them go through the due process and let them do the inspection. Then if they come back and say, oh no, look, we think this is all right, there's no threat, then we can go to, you know, we can pursue something else. But there is plenty of happening behind the scenes, and as I said, I do put some things out there now and again. The CRG will put out information, and that's probably a better forum coming from the CRG. They are the community representative group. So I just wanted to, I come here today just to make sure that people go away and think, well, we're not just all sitting around doing nothing. We are talking with these people, you know what I mean? You know, we're prodding them as much as we can, but for the next week or so, hopefully in the next week, I'll have a report from Vic Roads and have one from SB AusNet, and I'll give it to Barry and the CRG and they can release that to the public and we can all have a read of it, and then we can look at a different course of action, you know what I mean? So if anyone's got any questions on that, you know what I mean, you're quite welcome to read these emails from SB AusNet and the letter from Danny Green and Vic Roads, but we're pushing ahead, you know what I mean? As I said, you know, you've got to keep the faith and not give up, you know what I mean, because we keep chipping away at this, we'll get something sorted, you know what I mean, because we are a one road in, one road out town, and it's no good sitting back, as I've said right from the start. It's easy to be reactive, you know what I mean, we need to be proactive, and we need to do everything we can do to make this town safe, you know, to make sure that we can get out in the fire, make sure the Shire's cleaning the blocks, make sure the power line corridor is maintained, because we know if we lose the power, we've got no water. You know what I mean? Some of us have got generators, not everyone's got a generator. So all those things are important to Locksportians.
Yeah, just got a comment.
Yeah.
With everyone basically here today, thanks all for coming. More often than not, there was a MailChimp that was sending out different lots of information. We have a website, okay? I'll pass around some cards with the address on it, but it's www.locksportcrg.org.au. All of that information that we're talking about with all the letters that are from Danny O'Brien, there's also Jane Garrett, there's a number of different letters that have come through, and it's all really interesting work. So, and the minutes from the meeting that we had, Wilfred's video of that meeting, it's all on that website. So it's worth a good look, just look at the blog. And further to that, there was a petition for Danny O'Brien. Okay, that went back to that. So Parliament meets on the 8th, and he was taking that meeting to Parliament.
How many people run it?
Okay, there were 200 on the day when he was here, and there was about 390.
That's right.
Yep.
I got a point. It's all right, Pete. When the Parks were here at the main meeting, they talked about the backburn to start cleaning up the road heading out. He only mentioned a few hundred metres. Just confirmed that was right.
Yeah, well now they're going away from the burn. This is what he only told me 15 minutes ago.
Well,
They're not, they're shying away from going for a burn. They reckon if they mulch it, you know what I mean, you can start on that earlier.
you've got 26 kilometres of road that will go like a bloody tinderbox.
Yep.
And you're telling me that a couple of hundred metres of mulching is going to fix the problem?
It's a fire
Yeah, we don't all want the trees down.
Who is kidding who?
Can I sort of answer that?
We did it because we like the
What we
trees.
have done is
We
done a
like the
matrix
trees and
stuff.
we like our houses
Hang on, hey,
burning
girls.
down because of the trees.
One at a time, please.
Well, I agree.
What we have done is done a matrix stuff of who has responsibility for what area, be it SB AusNet,
Yep.
be it Vic Roads, be it Bell Parks, National Park, whatever. Now, that matrix, we've sent that to them, asking all those authorities, the Shire included, who has responsibility, is this correct, and what is their intention to do about their part. So when they agree or disagree to that, then we can pursue further how far those responsibilities go.
Well, you heard what I just said.
Correct.
A couple of 100 metres burning out of town or mulching out of town, that's not fixing the problem, guys.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
hang
All
on,
I'm saying-
let me finish.
Yep.
Let me finish. So, if you've actually got a thing for wildlife, which I do, I actually care more about animals than I do people. But if you actually want to put a burn through there, they can actually do a burn so that the animals can escape, and they can set it up, and I know they can do it. Right? They can do a burn in sections and burn it out, and the animals will escape, and we'll keep our wildlife. But they can also keep the town safe in the process of it. Now, at this point, I'm telling you now, a couple of 100 metres and a bit of mulching down the side ain't cutting the mustard.
Can I just interrupt you there? He didn't actually say only a couple of 100 metres burn. It's 5 kilometres.
But that's
500 minutes.
still not going to cut it. We've got 26 k's of bush that will go ballistic.
I'm just correcting you.
Okay, that's what I was asking the question. But the fact is, it's a 26k run.
I hear you totally, and that is...
And I'll talk to you about the night that Wellington Park went up, and the fact that the fire didn't get over the road was by sheer arse and no class. Okay, at that night it would have kept going, and it would have gone straight to Golden Beach, and there's nothing that you could have done that would have stopped it.
They were going to burn it. They were going to burn it from track 10 all the way down, but the weather didn't allow that to happen. Okay, now the priority is to save Loch Sport, not the road, not the area beyond Loch Sport, it's Loch Sport itself.
Well, there's another problem that you guys aren't looking at. If the fire hit that bloody national park, right, and comes this way with a northerly of some sort, whether it be a northwesterly, northeasterly, and it comes through, it'll come straight through and down Wallaby, and everything
Years
along
ago
that
it
line
did,
will be gone.
And the fire brigade stopped it dead.
I hear what you're
That's-
saying.
No,
that's-
I don't think that's a
But
reality.
that's actually also on Danny O'Brien's list. With
I understand
He's
that, but I'm
actually-
asking
have you
what it
seen
is that Park's doing, not criticising people. I'm asking what Park's plans are, and at this point, I'm not hearing any plans except for mulching down the road.
Well, Parks isn't here to sort of respond to that at the moment, but what we have said is, again, is what you're saying is what we said and everyone said at that initial meeting we had. We've drawn up that matrix. We're putting it back out to all those authorities. We're waiting for them to come back because we want that master plan like you do.
Yeah, exactly.
Something that's a lot bigger than just a Band-Aid.
And that's what I'm talking about. And I'll give you another example, guys, which a lot of you probably aren't aware of. What happens if there's a fire at Ocean Grange? How do you think you're getting the trucks down there? It'll take 10 minutes to cut the bolts and all the fences to get through the first gate and then start heading down there, and half the road down there is not accessible to a fire truck. Why? Because it's been closed off for a particular person and a deer operation down there. Okay?
What about the other
Hang
side?
on, I'll go the other way. Let's go down towards Golden Beach from the car park. Where the hell do you think you're going to put a truck down there?
Yeah. Well, there was a road there.
It
was a road there.
It was a gazetted road. It's actually it's a marked stock route, and it's been closed off by Parks. Now, what the hell's
It
going
wasn't
on?
closed off by
It's
Parks.
been closed off by Parks.
It was closed off by private people.
It was closed
All
off by
right, come on.
Parks.
I'll just respond to that just a little bit, just from my background, right? I specialised 35 years in risk management. That's what I done, heavy lift consultant for BHT. I dealt with risk every day, with every risk, and you're highlighting risk now. You can't mitigate every potential threat.
Well, you
It's
don't
not
help by closing
No,
the roads off.
I know that, but it's
And
not
that,
possible.
those roads aren't owned
I'm
by
just
Parks.
explaining, like, this is how
Get your
dealt
facts right.
when they're talking to us.
It is owned by Parks.
We couldn't clear
It's
the
not.
national park.
It is.
All we can
It's
do
not.
is manage
It's
the
national
fire
park.
break.
It's not.
Hang on,
It is.
hang on, listen, all we can do is manage a fire break, you know, is what we initially said at the start. Same on the other
Get your
side.
facts right.
Does it
I have.
alleviate every risk? No, it doesn't, you know what I mean? Because you've got embers that can travel 40 kilometres in the right conditions. So we do the best we can do to mitigate those situations, and we take the expert opinion, you know what I mean? I hear what you're saying, you know what I mean? There's always going to be a threat, no matter what we do.
Look, you'll never stop fires, I understand that. But what we're saying here is it's really simple. It's the really simple processes. There are no roads down from the end of that, the beach road from the car park. That's been closed off. It's been bulldozed so you can't access it. Now it's actually grown over. If you walk through it, you could
You're
just
looking
get
at
through
the
it.
wrong road.
No, I'm not.
You know the road that goes into the second car park?
But let's call order.
It's actually a
That's
national
enough.
park road.
It's enough. Somebody else can talk now.
Guys,
Lady Annie.
You know, it brings up the fact of putting and having
don't even
burns
know
at
where
this
it
stage.
is.
Now, does anybody really
Yeah, I do.
trust having a burn at this stage with all that undergrowth that we've got there? You know, like that'll take off, and for goodness sake, we'll never stop.
That's why they're going to watch.
they're not going
That's right. That's why we can't have a burn at this stage. We can't. Not even up in the where they're having the bushfires. They're not even risking burns.
Can I actually add to that? Once they mulch it, there's always a risk of that mulch is burnable.
But it's fine.
But anyway, no, I spoke to my brother, he's in bushfire management with Bell for years, he's now retired, I asked his opinion about what they do. What actually happens later on, it dries out a lot quicker than any other bush, tree, everything else. So what they do is they'll actually do a slow burn over that later on. Alright, so they'll mulch it all to begin with, it could be a fire risk, but once it's dry, they just do a slow, low burn on it, and that's easy to
I've
go
been
through.
through Black Saturday fires,
Yep.
and mulch was the worst thing.
Okay, but that's what they do, they'll go back and they'll burn it after it dries out.
You should
It
be
dries
able
out
to
pretty
gather
quickly.
it anyway,
Yep.
put in heaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I noticed last time they did it, that the mulch was so big that anyone could go along and pick it all up to start their fires in the lounge room, you know?
Yeah, totally. So
That's how big it was.
that's what he described it as being.
When we had our fire guard meetings after that 2012 fire, and we had all those meetings, we had inspectors come out to our houses from fire guard. They tried to set up a phone system, and the one thing that they picked on in every property was mulch.
They just asked the school to remove all the mulch around the school buildings. It's a government department telling another government department, and yet you've got another government department telling us they want to do it.
Yeah, well, it's the.
And this is what we're trying to understand, who has
They will burn a
responsibility.
lot. Yep. But it's a slow burn, and it's more controlled.
Go back.
Thank you. But my wife and I are relatively new to Locksport, so we don't know all the issues like some of you people that lived here for years and years. We went to the first meeting, and the thing that struck me was there's so many different agencies, and at that meeting I just felt like they're all sort of passing the buck. Oh, that's Vic Roads, and that's the power company, and that's them, and that's the Shire, and I'm thinking, well, who the hell's going to actually do anything here? So, look, I just want to give a vote of confidence to the, I reckon the working group, Barry, I don't, some of these people I know a bit and some I don't. Barry, Wren, Eileen, is it, Colin and Craig. I just reckon you've done a fantastic job to pull that together. That grid or matrix, I reckon that's terrific because you've just highlighted who is responsible to do these different things. Now, you know, in future, if there is a fire, and we hope that there isn't, Jesus, those people are going to be feeling pretty nervous if they haven't done what they've been asked to do in terms of litigation or whatever. So, but people are getting a bit heated or whatever, but as a newcomer, I just want to congratulate those people on that working party and thank you very much for what you've done so far, because you've just pulled that all together. And I just thought it was all over the place. Thank you.
When I was part of forming the men's shed, and it took us nearly 3.5 years to get that shed up, mainly because of the problems that was just announced about from one department to the next department, rah. And they still are very restrictive on what the men's shed could do, or anyone else there, the RSL, you name it. Tennis club, and that mainly comes out of the fact that the whoever looks after the reserve, they're a state government body, and they come out of Yarram for here. And we were told, I was on that committee for the, what's the reserve called? Charles Street Reserve. And we had representatives come out and they said you cannot chop down any growth, whether it was a weed or whatever, that was over 18 inches high. You could go with a motor mower around all the trees and things like that, but if one of those wattles came up, you couldn't, and they're classified as a plant, a weed, and you weren't allowed to chop them down.
Can I ask what year that was?
Mate, you can't, this was only how long have we been going?
4 years ago.
Yeah.
Because in 2009, after those fires, they had the Royal Commission, they brought in the BMOs, a Business Management Overload, and we're in a 1050 zone, which means you can clear anything at all within 10 metres of your house. And
Yeah.
within 50 metres, you can clear everything except native trees, and you can clear native trees.
That's like sport,
Yes,
not
that's
like the reserve.
okay.
Most Aboriginal heritage, environmental, everything. So it's a state government dictates.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have brought that into it.
At the meeting, they said that bushfire overlay overrode every other overlay.
Yes. And we've still got the 2012 review that was forefront with the whole beginning of the, this meeting, this whole assembly. That's still forefront with the politicians, the Shire and everybody else. So they're well aware, we're just not pushing it into their faces at the moment, but they're well aware that that is the crux of what started all this. And it hasn't been responded to. So with this, what we're sitting in now, and with that, what they've already got, and they know we're well aware of it, that's what we're hoping for a response back.
There was a second road out to Locksport, and it's the other side of Lake Reeves. And as you go along to the second beach, it deviates up and then goes into what this gentleman was saying about the road behind the sandbars.
Yes.
Okay,
That road used to go all the way to Golden Beach. And some bloke decided to put logs across, another bloke decided to put a caravan park there, and they just...
And gazetted road means that council or Vic roads have to maintain it. So once they put in the new bitumen road into Locksport, that road became defunct, and therefore they didn't maintain it. That's how it came about. And that's also, if you actually look on it, it's a gazetted road actually goes from the Stockyard car park, and it's actually a gazetted road nearly all the way to Lakes Entrance.
I believe it's the old coach road.
That's correct. It's actually a stock route.
There's a big push for the Aboriginal
I heard
track.
that.
Now, I'm not entirely sure where you're talking about, but
Same
I do
road.
know.
It's the same road.
Because you won't be allowed to do that. You won't be able to put that road in there. It's been designated as a sacred, they're one of their sacred sites. And they're going there.
Most of that road exists except for where you get through Fowler's Park there.
No, I don't
and
know.
they
I
blocked
don't
it
know
off.
exactly where it is, but I do know it runs from Lakes Entrance and it runs right down our track alongside Locksport, and then it heads off down into the national park and all the way around. So that is a sacred
Because
sacred
Lakes
area.
Entrance didn't have a grate in the sandbar.
Correct.
That's
correct.
And it used to flow out further up.
Flew out where the golf club is
Where's
now,
that?
been
Yeah.
done,
No.
or is
It's still
it going to
happening.
be?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be happening.
Okay.
Through the council?
Yeah, we'll hear some of the correspondence.
So the dealt.
Just going back, folks, just
Yep.
to that's what I spoke before, Vic Roads, the inspections, right, ongoing, we'll have that back hopefully within the next week. SB Osnet the same, and there was 2 letters written, one from Jane Garrett, and they were both to Lily Den Ambrosio, the Minister for Energy, Environment and Climate Change. The one from Jane Garrett that says, "Dear Minister, I am writing regarding fire safety Locksport, formally pass on the concerns of many of the constituents and community groups who contacted me. As you are aware, the community forum took place on January the 11th, 2020 at Locksport Community Hall. The hall had significant public interest with over 300 residents attending, along with representatives from the the Fire Management, Department of Environment, Land and Planning and Parks Victoria. The forum identified that there are many local concerns at the town's readiness in the event of fire, topics such as power outages, loss of water being discussed at great length. Additionally, residents are also concerned that the complex weather conditions are hindering the ability to complete fuel reduction burns in the lead up to the fire season. Grave concerns were also discussed about Locksport being isolated with only a single entry road and exit into town. With the support of the community representative group, a list of risk management opportunities was compiled and I have attached them for your information. Thank you for considering the contents of this letter. I look forward to hearing from you. So that's the sort of thing we want. Jane Garrett's talking straight to the Minister with that matrix that the CRG put together. And the one Danny O'Brien wrote, and Danny's been pretty good with this, I tell you, he's batting for us. Dear Minister, I recently added the PAC's public meeting at Locksport and raised concerns about fire safety in the town. As you would be aware, Locksport is geographically constricted with it just one road in and one road out, surrounded by National Park. The meeting voiced concerns about the safety of the town and vegetation management in and around it, particularly in the light of the recent experience of Malakuta and East Gippsland fires. While I've written to you recently on a similar matter, I write now to seek your further support on behalf of the town as a result of the public meeting. Firstly, I seek your intervention to assist the community to work with the Department of Environmental, Land, Water, Planning and Parks Victoria to establish the most appropriate bushfire prevention activities around the town. From the meeting and further discussions, it would appear to me that most important action the government could take would be create a significant fire break at both the western and eastern ends of town, separating the National Park vegetation from the build-up. I seek your advice in relation to these ideas and further to authorise the attendance of senior officials from 2 agencies to meet with community members to develop a course of action. So secondly, with respect to your energy portfolio, the community also raised concerns with the power lines into the town, that in the event of a fire, one of the first things the community may lose is electricity. Given there is no town water in Locksport, the loss of electricity will immediately render most homes defenceless as they rely on the power of water pumps from tanks. It is suggested that the feasibility of underground electricity, such into Locksport, should be investigated. And I seek your further advice on such an idea. So we've got 2, senior people writing to the government on our behalf. And considering we only had that meeting a few weeks ago, we've come a long way to get to where we are now, but we're at the point now where we've just got to wait. We've got to be patient. I know it's hard being patient sometimes. I'm not good at it myself, but we've got to wait for the information to come back.
When you're talking about underground water.
No.
Okay.
We never raised really underground power because underground power is a whole different thing. It's millions of dollars. If Danny O'Brien wants to raise it with the Minister, we'll get the IA.
We've got a water table underneath Locksport. It's not fit to drink. It's full of iron, whatever. But we could use, if that was utilised for fire brigade in the town and we had accessible water for hydrants and things like this.
I mean, look, they're all good ideas, for another, but I think with this, why we were so successful in getting a bit of traction with this is because we kept it down to targeted things that we were going for. If we expand and start, there was a lot of things come up on that day, Bob brought up about a fence for kangaroos. I mean, look, all valid stuff. That's the whole good thing about a community meeting. But by keeping it down to really the 4 or 5 items we said, power line corridor, Vic roads, maintaining the road, fire breaks, the council removing debris from the blocks around town, we can get something done. I just think we've had a good outcome here, and the CRG are doing a top job and just following this through. As I said, there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes, and I reckon we can win this one. I think we just got to play the game right and just be a little bit patient.
And do it together.
And do it together, exactly. Stick together.
Actually, just to help you there, so along National Park Road, you know where there's all those concrete barriers running along at the other end of it? That went in as a result of the previous report. So that was the fire access road out of town, and that's why they put the concrete barriers in.
Yeah.
Even though it cut off blocks and bits and pieces, that's why those barriers went. It was an access out of town.
Yeah, down the back.
Yes. I wonder if we could be more specific.
Quiet.
I wonder if we could be more specific about, like people seem to repeat over and over, we need significant fire breaks. And to me as a newcomer, that just seems blatantly obvious. I know people will have a feel about national parks and coastal parks or whatever, but you know, like Malakuta, all my grandkids were there, all the animals are dead. So that's the other side of the story. And I'm no firefighter, but I mean, do we need to push for like a really significant fire break? Just raise the joint. Does it need to be half a kilometre? Does it need to be more? I just wonder, should we be more specific in what we're pushing for?
Delpa capable of doing a low-level fire burn and burning it. And my understanding is, and I don't want to go into too much detail, but I knew a guy from Delp that was planning for it, and they had problems. There were local community people here and businesses that didn't want it because of fires during coming up to a long weekend or too much smoke into the town or whatever, and it's been put off. And that was one of the major reasons we haven't had any burns. Now they've actually looked at, and I saw his plan. He talked to me about it, and I'm telling you, they can do a low-level burn. They section it so the animals can escape, and they section burn it. And they can do the whole lot, but it's a big job.
Have you
and
been
it's
here
a
in
commitment.
this town very long?
Long enough. 4 years.
4 years. Do you know they had a burn up outside Wellington Park, and they didn't want to notify Brigade apparently. And a woman, when I say a woman, I'm not having to go woman, but a young girl, did a university degree, came out and lit the fire, and it got so far out of control they could have wiped the town out.
When was that?
Oh, Peter would know. I'm not quite sure.
I-
A long while ago.
2010.
2010. So they're not the bee's knees, this mob that the state
But it's
government.
also the condition of the ground, because I was the captain of the
Yeah.
brigade when we did the last burn between the back of the post office and track 10.
Mhm.
Fair enough, it obliterated the side of the road. But if you went 100 yards in, it did not burn because of the dampness coming up out of the ground from Lake Reed. No matter what we did, we could not get that section to go.
Okay.
We tried like hell. We had more trouble with the bit that did go, jumping the road around the golf course all the way up to Beacon Swamp. But that first section, like I said, 20 metres in, looks like it's been nuked.
Yeah.
Other than that, we just could not get it to go, and we had experts there.
So the outcome now is that Gulf has already said that they have motion machinery, they've got other ways, we don't just look at fire anymore,
Yeah.
so we're just gonna wait now
And
to
at the
see what
moment,
the outcome of that is, how
Nobody
far
would
we're
be game
gonna
enough
go.
to sign off on it.
Sorry,
Nobody would be game enough to sign off on
on a
it.
burn,
I mean, in the last 2 months,
On a
I've
burn.
been away 5 times.
no, I can understand that totally.
Right,
Why would you-
and some of the blokes, they're lighting them, and next minute they're taking off
Yeah.
up the road like rabbits.
So we're not talking burns anymore, Pete, which is good, we've jumped the fence from the burns, we're talking about engineering a different scenario out.
Yeah.
So how far that goes, we don't know yet, hence why we're waiting for the information to come back. And as it does come back, we'll feed it back to everybody, so everybody's got it, you can see it.
I've got a little bit more information on our power. There's a chap that is doing a study, he's already been given the go-ahead to do a full study of solar power out at Nanduck to be brought into Locksport. So I had a phone call the other day to say, look, he's already been given the go-ahead and he's going to set up some meetings in the near future. Part of it was, let's see if it's a viable proposition for Locksport to actually have. It'll be a battery backup solar power station out at Nanduck.
So it's still burn. It would still
Yeah,
burn,
well,
yes.
Not if they put that underground.
Not if they put it underground, no.
No, if they did the whole thing, I think it's about $8 million
Okay.
just for that.
We've given you all the information we have, and we just have to wait until we hear more, okay? So, has anybody got anything else that needs to be said?
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
2018, there were fires across the lake, and we actually had dead gum leaves landing in our gardens. So we have to be very aware that it can come from any direction. And when we have a day like that Saturday coming, you need to fill up buckets around your house. You need to be prepared with water on site. You have to have a plan. You can't just assume somebody in this town is going to help you. You have to look after yourself. And what we were told in 2012 was that if there is a fire in this town, that road into town will be closed anyway for emergency vehicles. So don't think you're going to leave because there's a fire. That was very much pointed out to us.
One more.
Yeah, sorry, I hadn't finished my other point before about, I'm flogging a dead horse with the fire breaks, but I just want to get the point across.
We've heard.
In my mind, it's not a burn. I'm thinking like, can't we just raise the joint? Like if you look along the Princess Highway now, I believe it's open, like they've just gone in with massive machinery and haven't burned it or trimmed it, they've just obliterated it along the highway. That's what I'm talking about. Obliterate so far back that way and that way, and then all the other animals will live. Oh, we won't lose any animals anyway, because I'm talking about bulldozing and stuff. Not burning.
Our hands are tied to some degree, hence why we're waiting for the information to come back. But we are pushing for a rather big title. We're not looking for a band-aid in this. And I'm pretty confident, they've all got this.
I'm only talking about having a united front of what we really want.
But I think everyone's thoughts on what that looks like are different. We sort of have to leave it to the authorities to some degree. We put them on notice, whether that be they leave the gums and they clear the shrubs and the grass and whatever, I don't know what that looks like. And we can't really dictate that at this stage.
Well,
I hear what you're saying.
We could ask for it, that's all then. We could ask for it.
Yeah. Oh, we certainly can. We certainly can. But we need to wait and hear what they're going to come back with.
Yeah.
If they accept what we say is their area of responsibility, because that's the problem. And if you look at most of that matrix, the majority falls to the state government. Forest Fire Management, Parks Victoria and Delaware. The Shire, SPI's and all that have tiny Vic roads, tiny little increments of that whole master plan. So we're sort of really honing in on the people that need to respond. And how that looks at the end of the day, I'm not too sure. Yeah, I'm not too sure how it looks.
So all of that paperwork, I will make sure that goes on the website so you can all have a
Right, yeah, so I've been doing a bit of homework regarding this safe place, what we've got in town. I just wondering what everybody's opinion is. I've talked to Danny O'Brien, I've talked to Jane Garrett, I've talked to Darren Chester. Before I go to the Shire, being in the pub, I hear a lot of people saying that if there's a fire that's going to happen, a lot of people are going to go to the front of the pub out to the lake there. Now, that's got jetties, John's jetties. John's actually invested in a generator to run the water if we lose power. Like I said, I just hear everybody's going to end up down there. People say open the gate up on hot days so I can trot my car up there. What do you guys think about changing the safe place to the front of the pub there? But before I go any further, I won't go any further unless people agree with it. All the government say it's a good idea, but I've got to go to the Shire and the CFA to get their approval for it. You know, if John's got power there, we've got water there to fight off. I've got a fire hose. I've got a bus. There's 3 buses in town. There's 3 buses in town. There's people that can't move.
There's toilets, there's food,
there's everything.
there's fridges,
There's gas,
the gas there is gas there, but that's designed to shoot up. And that'll go like that. I've already talked to Elgas about that, if that would happen. You know, there's 3 buses in town that can carry 33 people at one time. You know, do we need a register of the old people that can't move? You know, to go get them, to bring them to us.
I think it's a great idea, but again, and that's because that's where I'll be for a start. I'll be there with my boat.
It's just
But
one,
having said that, I don't know whether it's big enough for the town. I don't know whether that's our call to make. I think that has to lay with those responsibilities again, as with the CFA. Peter, if you want to
Well,
Well,
for a
that's
start,
my question.
there's no such thing as the Locksport safer place anymore. It is now known as the Locksport place of last resort, where your own fire plan is screwed up and you've got to get the hell out of here.
But in the case of an emergency and they need to get boats in,
They
to
can.
get people out,
Yeah, you won't get the votes in because the
Emergency
weather
management plan for the town of a few years ago. The police launch and a few of the big ferries from Painesville will be up here.
in front of where we are now,
Yeah.
in front of the where it is now.
Into that.
All right, I think that's a bit of a side issue. I hear what you're saying, Pete, but I don't think here as a group that we can actually come back to you with that.
Yeah.
I was
at the
just
moment.
going to say,
I think it's a
but
great idea.
the letters we've got back so far sound like you're getting some positive results. The couple that we haven't heard back from, are we going to give them another little bit of a rep and ask them for a reply, please?
Yeah, they've all been offered the opportunity, so as I say, we'll hold them accountable at the end of the day
Right.
as to who has those levels of responsibility and what have they done about it, what do they intend to do.
Okay, and it's just, are you looking in the future to call some of these people back to actually be answerable to us again?
If we need to, we will. Yeah. And if we need another meeting of that sense with the people, we sort of formulate something greater down the track, we'll do that.
You'll be sitting on the back of a big red truck.
Yes, I know, but it's not.
Adding on to this gentleman here,
What have I done?
is there any,
3 metres up there.
any sense in the bunkers? Like, I've fought fires for many, many years, and especially up around Jimbrook, Belgrade, what have you. And everywhere there was bunkers. Now, I can see that there's a problem there with oxygen, but they could have self-sustained oxygen in. They're protected from any heat, any embers, or anything like that.
They tend to put private people can put in bunkers, like there are bunkers you can actually legally buy these days. If you go
Private
in
people
as a
in
private
Locksport
person.
can't afford to.
There
put
is a
in
private
bunkers.
one in Locksport in a certain location.
Right.
Is it?
The only problem being that the fire will draw the oxygen out of that bunker and more than likely kill the person
Yeah, but
inside.
if you had oxygen
Yeah, but
cylinders
there's no
in there for people.
If you got to go BA qualified, BA units.
All right.
Please.
Okay,
Right.
right, we'll wrap it up now. Meeting closed at 5:45.
Keep going, guys, you're doing a good job. I couldn't deal with it, Chris.
Oh, okay.
I thought we just must give over.
Is this
I couldn't deal with it.
No, so that's the thing, so we were gonna do the rest of the CRG, like, the groups, and
Yeah.
the reporting from all the groups. It's not necessarily relevant for most people if they don't wanna hear it. But you're welcome to stay if you want to hear it. So,
Are you gonna have it at 5 o'clock again instead of 2
Yeah.
o'clock in the morning?
yes,
As soon as we
yeah,
get some info, you'll know about it as soon as we know about it.
Standard
One way or
community,
the other.
standard community meeting is Tuesday at 5 o'clock, first Tuesday of the month.
yeah.
I think you guys are doing a good job because I couldn't deal with those guys with those letters, I can promise you.